We're one of those really nicely held secrets in that we're very proud of the state. We want people to know about it. We don't want any more people moving here, thank you. We're just fine the way we are.
This was the first land trust that was started just for New Jersey, just to save land, to make sure that these lands were secured for future generations.
They work throughout the state of New Jersey doing farmland preservation and protecting forests and wetlands.
As we grow, whether it's in urban areas or in the most rural, or even in the places where we've spent the most time and effort, like in the pinelands, we're going to have to be vigilant everywhere.
Farmland preservation has been absolutely essential, being able to stay in the family business or even have this business.
The perseverance to land preservation, not just going in once and saying, will you preserve this land, but coming back again and again and saying, are you ready to preserve now?
We're very passionate about what we do. We're standing by our decision to preserve the land, one of the finest decisions of our life, and we welcome the public to come and enjoy this beautiful farm in Pennington, New Jersey.
New Jersey Conservation Foundation has preserved more ground than any other environmental group in New Jersey. And I have to say that I'm thrilled with farmland preservation, the effect it has on keeping taxes low and the quality of life high.
We're happy to tell people we got some of the toughest parts of the Appalachian Trail in the state of New Jersey, 127 miles of coastline, the Pine Barrens. Salem and Burlington counties look like Iowa. It's a pretty special place. The diversity gives us some of our texture and makes us so attractive.
We really had high hopes for farmland preservation. Millions of acres of farmland were still in production, but yet at the same time there was an enormous rush to develop those farmlands. At the very beginning of the farmland preservation program, there was a lot of suspicion within the farming community as to whether this program would work or not.
The rumor was that if you sold a farmland preservation easement, that your land wouldn't be worth anything anymore. You wouldn't be able to sell it to anybody else. To demonstrate how this could be done, we bought this farm that had been subdivided and immediately put it up for sale, minus its farmland preservation easement. Sold it right away. And that news got around through that farmer network in a matter of minutes. And it really got the farmland preservation underway by eliminating that war story that wasn't true.
Because that's a unique program. As I go around the country, there are really not many programs like that across the nation, and I talk to other elected officials and they're fascinated by that approach to preserving farmland.
We weren't sure what farmland values would do. Everybody say, well, you're ruining your land, you know, you took everything. And the demand for farmland grew at a faster rate than it did for development land. Thank goodness for farmland preservation, because it allowed me to take that money and invest it into irrigation and other aspects to help minimize my risk for the entire operation. If I was carrying these large commercial mortgages with unpreserved ground, there's no way I'd be in business. Your land values are still holding good value. So there's equity there, so when you have the financial downturn of a poor growing year, you still have something to fall back on and you use your money wisely.
We also need to get back on track to focus on where we need to preserve land, to educate particularly farmers with a farmland preservation program that they actually get some cash in hand for doing it, and yet the land is still theirs. They don't have to worry about losing their title, and they can sell it in the future. It just can't ever be developed, and they can keep that money for the sale.
There are a lot of challenges in dealing with the demands for what remains of developable land in this state. Of course, there's demands for housing and businesses, but we also have the need for clean water and the need for good soils for food production. We have a very vibrant agricultural industry in this state. Those farms are going to be even more important to us as time goes on. You know, we've learned the importance of local food and how vital that is to just our sustainability.
New Jersey is a fantastic place to be a farmer if you can do it economically, because you have your market so close by. Eventually, we're not going to be able to afford the kind of thing we have now, where we're shipping grapes and strawberries across the country from California or up from Chile, the price of oil and gasoline is just going to keep going up, and it's not going to be affordable. So it's even more important that we be able to maintain the ability to grow the produce and crops that we need locally.
We came here 30 years ago. Gail had always wanted to live on a farm. A friend had told me there were farms in the Princeton area, and Gail took it from there.
It was the last of 6 farms we saw, and this was exactly the place I wanted to be.
In the early days of the state preservation program, Gael and Fred Gardner could have sold the development rights and taken money from the state, but still decided to donate them anyway. And this is a beautiful little farm perched on the north side of the Sourland Mountains in East Amwell Township. And it's a really cute farm with lots of horses, border collies, sheep, and trails everywhere. So it's heaven for wildlife enthusiasts, a heaven for animal lovers. And Gael and Fred have just been great stewards of that land, and also real movers and shakers in their own community and preservation.
When I was growing up, I grew up on a 40-acre farm in Haddam, Connecticut. After my father sold it, 20 years later, I went and saw what had happened. Either the farmer then or the next farmer planted houses in it. And when we got this place, I said, I never want this to happen to my farm.
Whether you're driving through a farmland area or you're looking at a beautiful vista, hiking on a trail, it's my hope that you and your future generations will benefit from it. We've made such progress. We have a foundation to build on now. If we can continue building on that foundation, this state will continue to be the Garden State. The Franklin Parker Preserve was one of the most exciting projects I've ever got to work on. It started out because of a long-term relationship with the landowner, which is how a lot of these things happen. It really is all about people and relationships. So we're talking 9,400 acres of cranberry bogs, blueberry fields, and just incredible wetlands with absolutely drop-dead gorgeous Pine Barrens land. It has become a mecca for research, for discovery, and education, and really for excitement. So it was probably one of the biggest projects that we tackled. It was $12 million. We didn't know how that was going to happen, but we committed to it, and we made it happen.
Today we're here at the Franklin Parker Preserve in the New Jersey Pine Barrens. We're going to look at the ecology of threatened pine snakes. We'll go through the forest and talk a little bit about their natural history and behaviors. My name's Emile DeVito. I'm the Manager of Science and Stewardship at New Jersey Conservation Foundation. We've been doing radio tracking studies on adult male and female threatened pine snakes. We've also been radio tracking newly hatched pine snakes, which is the first time that that's ever been done. We're trying to learn about their ecology, their critical foraging areas in the forest, winter hibernation dens, breeding grounds, and movement patterns. Hopefully we can better protect their populations by gathering this information. So now we know the snake's in that direction right there. Whoa, he just shot out of the leaf litter. He was buried under the pine needles. See how we zeroed in on the exact spot? Talk about finding a needle in a haystack. We found the exact square foot where he was hiding because of the radio. He's just completely harmless. That's why they're poached by people who want them as pets. Typically, pine snakes are at their hibernation sites from October till about April. They can't go into their winter dens for good if they still have undigested food in their gut. They come up on warm days to fully digest before the cold sets in.
We had this fantastically beautiful little farm out in Asbury, and we were looking for a farmer purchaser.
It became obvious farmers were getting older. There were no young people coming in. Farms were being split up. Housing subdivisions were beginning to interfere with agricultural operations.
The successful purchasers ended up being a young couple who were interested in bringing their water buffalo to the farm and making buffalo mozzarella, which of course is an Italian delicacy and something that you can't get too easily in New Jersey. And they love their buffalo. Their buffalo are just gorgeous animals and they treat them like their pets, and they're making a successful operation there now.
Welcome to River Rhine Ranch. We're a water buffalo company in Warren County, New Jersey. We started this project about 3 years ago. We've been breeding water buffalo to make the famous mozzarella cheese. We were looking for an animal that would be able to make a quality product. Grass in the milk makes the best product. So we searched all over the world. I was looking for Ireland's big grass-fed, New Zealand's big grass-fed, and we were looking for a breed of cow to make a great product from. And then we came across Italy. And when we saw this, we were like, hey, let's try this here and let's really start researching and see if they'll work in New Jersey. So we came up with this idea using water buffalo. And they are thriving, as you can see, in New Jersey. To farm in New Jersey, to do something like this, you need a lot of support. And we can't thank New Jersey Conservation enough for the support that they've given us.
North Jersey is one of the most crowded areas in America, and here you have this little slice of paradise where people can get away. Hi, I'm Jim Wright, and welcome to the Celery Farm Natural Area in Allendale, New Jersey. It's 107 acres of woods and wetlands and trails, and it's one of the great natural treasures in northern New Jersey. And it turns out in the old days, it once was a swamp, and a farmer came in here and said, I can grow celery and onions on this thing. It's perfect for that. All I have to do is drain the swamp. For many years, this was a thriving celery farm. There's actually a couple of celery farms around here.
Celery needs wetlands to grow, and the muck soils of up in Bergen County were just these incredible landscapes of celery farms, which of course most have been paved over, including one big celery farm that's now underneath Paramus Mall.
Everything west of Route 17 was mostly celery farms. They thought the land was basically unbuildable, and then the suburbs came, North Jersey exploded, and all those celery farms suddenly became prime real estate. Stiles Thomas, who was the original marsh warden here, wrote to the U.S. government and said, this is a great place to save. There are so few wetlands left in northern New Jersey, you should think about saving it. You got a letter back saying, sorry, Mr. Thomas, but
it's too small a project for us. Go to this New Jersey Conservation Foundation. So I called them, they showed interest.
And they helped get the money together, gave the town a bridge loan, and the whole thing came together thanks to the Conservation Foundation. And it slowly but surely got this reputation as this amazing birding spot. And it's a magnet for endangered species. We have minks, all kinds of warblers, egrets, herons. For kids, it's a great introduction to nature because of all these turtles and all these frogs. It's just a great treasure for all ages.
One of the things that is the most rewarding and satisfying about foraging is the way it really gives you much more of an intense relationship with nature.
Tama Matsuoka is an attorney and a banker who lived for many, many years in Hong Kong. And she moved out to the Wickecheokee Creek, where we have our Wickecheokee Creek Preserve, and she became a friend of the New Jersey Conservation Foundation and a donor. And she got interested in plants, and she completely transformed her lawn around her home, which is right at the Wickecheokee, into a native wildflower meadow. And then she took it a step further, and she started looking back into her own Asian roots and her own grandmother, who used to forage.
My relatives who are from Japan or China recognized some of the plants that were growing and that were so-called invasive plants.
How can you remove invasive plant species from nature preserves and use them for cooking?
I'm Mark Drabitch from Metropolitan Seafood, and I'm here with my friend Tama today. We're going to make a salad, and we're going to take a traditional recipe that I've done many times before, and through these beautiful lands from New Jersey Conservation, we're going to be switching out some ingredients that grow wild around here.
Okay, this is lesser celandine. The things that I'm working with New Jersey Conservation on is controlling some of these invasive plants. And one of the ways that we can control them is by eating them.
The dish that we're making today is a smoked trout. It comes from the Muskie Trout Hatchery in Asbury, New Jersey. This is a lebni, which is like a Greek-style yogurt.
Wild onion.
A white wine vinegar, and we need a little bit of olive oil, and we're gonna put a little horseradish in there. And this is gonna be the base of our dressing. You have gotten me these greens, the lesser celandine, some dandelion here to go into this. This is perfect. So we're gonna set this right here. That's our little forage salad. And we're gonna take some nice big chunks of our smoked fish. Where's that sumac?
Okay, so this is sumac from New Jersey.
The color is gorgeous.
And it is not poison sumac.
And then we're gonna take a little of our pine needles to garnish this. I want you to taste this, because it's all about the perfect bite.
Okay, ready?
Ready.
Mmm. Wow, that's really great. The bitiness of the green against the trout is strong. It's really great.
We're not lying. This is actually good. Sometimes I've lied. This time I'm telling the truth. This is actually very, very good. Thank you so much for having me at your house.
Yay!
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.